So there are like some journeys that change your location, and then there are journeys that vitally change your soul. This time I'm going to talk about a place that felt like both, and that is Vietnam. Not because it gave me answers overnight, not because every wound disappeared the moment I looked at the sea or walked through lantern lit streets, but because somewhere between the moving scooters, the floating clouds over mountains, the smell of coffee in small hidden cafes, and the silence of old temples, I realized something important while watching a virtual trip of Vietnam. Letting go does not mean losing yourself. Sometimes it is the first moment you finally meet yourself again. When people hear the phrase letting go, they often imagine endings. They imagine distance, separation, silence, absence. But healing is rarely that dramatic. Sometimes healing is simply waking up one morning and noticing that your chest hurts a little less than it did yesterday. Sometimes healing is sitting beside a river in a foreign country and realizing you no longer want revenge, explanation, or closure from people who misunderstood your heart. And sometimes healing is understanding that carrying everything is not strength. I remember imagining the narrow streets of Hue and at night glowing lanterns reflect in the river like little floating stars. There is something deeply emotional about light reflected on water. It reminded you that even broken movements can still create beauty. And maybe that is what many of us are doing right now, trying to create beauty while emotionally trembling beneath the surface. So we live in a world that teaches us to hold on tightly, hold on to relationships, hold on to expectations, hold on to old versions of ourselves, hold on to guilt, hold on to conversations that ended years ago. But no one really teaches us how to release things gently. No one teaches us how to let go with dignity instead of destruction. So many people think letting go means becoming cold, detached, unfeeling, untouchable. But true healing does not harden you. True healing softens you without breaking your boundaries. Imagine standing in the misty mountains of Dalat. Early in the morning, the fog does not fight the mountain. It simply passes through it. That is balance. Not forcing, not clinging, not collapsing. And you know what? The interesting part of all this is that you just move. You're just moving. There's a version of you that is exhausted from carrying emotional weight that no longer belongs to you. The pressure to prove yourself, the fear of disappointing everyone, the grief of being misunderstood, the loneliness of outgrowing old spaces. And maybe you keep asking yourself, if I let this go, who will I become? But what if the better question is, what parts of me have been buried underneath survival? What parts of me have been buried underneath survival? Because many of us are not afraid of losing people, we are afraid of meeting ourselves without distraction. Travel has a strange way of revealing that. and we just don't realize it. You know why? Because when you walk through the calm waters and limestone landscapes of Halong Bay, you begin to understand how nature never rushes to become beautiful. It is as it is. The cliffs were shaped slowly, the water carved, and that's the nature. We are not trying to push the beauty standards. It means that the water carved meaning patiently. Healing works the same way. Believe it or not. If you agree, then please you can share your comments. You do not have to transform overnight because healing has its own way. You do not need to become endlessly positive. You do not need to pretend nothing hurt you. You are just the way you are. And you know what? In the middle of it, if you try to balance the things, then balance is not pretending to be okay all the time. Balance is allowing yourself to feel deeply without drowning in every emotion. There is a difference. I think one of the core issue and the hardest lessons in adulthood is realizing that closure does not always arrive in the form we hoped for. Sometimes there's no apology, no explanation, no final conversation under perfect weather. Sometimes people leave without ending the conversation. Sometimes people leave with unfinished sentences. So sometimes when we don't understand the unfinished sentences, it feels like that life still asks you to continue, and that can feel unfair. But Vietnam, during the virtual trip, teaches something quietly powerful through its rhythm of life. In busy cities like Ho Chi Minh City, millions move at once. Scooters flowing like water through impossible intersections. At first, it looks chaotic, but then you realize there is trust inside the movement. People adapt because they know how to adapt with a certain environment. People flow with time because they know how to change or transform themselves. People continue because they know how to keep continuing on the same path of life. Maybe healing is not about controlling every outcome. Maybe healing is learning how to move through uncertainty without abandoning yourself. You are allowed to outgrow the version of you that survived difficult years. You are allowed to stop chasing people who only value your presence when it is convenient. You are allowed to choose peace over performance because you struggled so much, you survived the battles of life, and you're allowed to become softer after pain. So you're allowed to take rest so that you can stop chasing people. That softness is not weakness. That softness is not your defeat. It is the reassurance of those moments when you really want to seek courage. So there is something deeply grounding about drinking coffee slowly in a quiet Vietnamese cafe while rain touches the windows outside. There's no performance, there's no rush, no audience, just existence. The existence, the presence that define you. That make you believe that perhaps that is what many souls need right now, a permission to exist without constantly proving their worth. So, a time when you think that you are supposed to prove your worth, a moment when you think that you are busy in the competition of life, in the race of life, you think that you're supposed to exist and you keep earning, you keep trying to survive, you keep trying to struggle, and one day you think that you have survived, and then you are not supposed to earn rest because you do not have to earn rest. You do not have to justify healing. You do not need to become productive because you're already productive and it's in there inside your mind that says that you are enough and that you deserve love for your own body. So you do not need to become productive enough to deserve love. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is pause. Take a pause. Breathe. Breathe and pause. And then stop abandoning yourself emotionally to keep everyone else comfortable. Stop abandoning yourself emotionally to keep everyone else comfortable. You can't control everything. So I know that there are people listening right now who feel emotionally tired. That's not dramatic, not broken beyond repair, just quietly tired. Normally we get tired, tired of overthinking, tired of carrying invisible grief, tired of replaying memories. So you can get tired of waiting for clarity also. Even I also get tired of waiting for clarity whenever my mind doesn't get clarity of a situation or regarding a person. So I want you to hear this carefully. Your life is not over because one chapter hurt you deeply. There's nothing like that one chapter is hurting you deeply because there are like several chapters that have hurt you or that can hurt you. So become strong. So there are still mornings waiting for you, still friendships waiting to find you, still laughter your future self has not experienced yet. There are versions of peace you have not met. And maybe one day you will stand beside the beaches of Danang during sunrise and realize that healing did not arrive loudly. It arrived quietly, like light returning to a room little by little. And maybe you will finally understand that letting go was never about forgetting. It's never about forgetting. It's always about letting go some things that you never wanted to discuss, never want to finish. So it was about freeing yourself from carrying emotional weight that kept pulling you away from your own life. You can remember someone and still move forward. You can love memories and still choose yourself. You can grieve and heal simultaneously. Humans are emotionally complex like that. Did you know that? You never knew about it. That humans are emotionally complex. Sometimes we think balance means having everything figured out. No. Balance has completely different definition because balance is often just learning when to rest and when to continue. So if your mind needs 7 hours of sleep and you're still continuing with that speed and you know what to speak and when to speak, your mind gets silent. So you should realize when to speak and when to stay silent, when to hold on and when to release. I think the ocean teaches this beautifully. So you haven't realized, but the waves never apologize for returning to shore again and again. Healing is repetitive too. Some days it will feel strong. Some days an old memory will unexpectedly hurt again. That does not mean you failed. It means you are human. But you don't realize it. Because people stop measuring your healing based on how unaffected you appear. So, real healing is not numbness. Real healing is becoming emotionally honest without letting pain define your entire identity. And maybe that is the most important part of letting go without losing yourself. You release the pain, not your personality, not your softness, not your dreams, not your humanity. You do not have to disappear to heal. You only have to stop betraying yourself. As this journey through Vietnam comes to an end in our imagination tonight, I want you to picture something like a lantern floating gently across dark water in Hoi An. It does not force the river to stop moving, it simply trusts the current. Maybe healing asks us to do the same, to trust that life can still carry us somewhere meaningful, even after disappointment, and to trust that peace is possible again, to trust that we are allowed to begin again without guilt. And most importantly, to trust that letting go does not erase who we are. Sometimes it reveals who we were beneath the pain all along. So, wherever you are listening from tonight, a quiet bedroom, a long train ride, a lonely apartment, a crowded city, or a place where your heart feels uncertain, I hope you remember this. You are still becoming. You're not behind. You're not ruined. You're not too late to heal. Like rivers, mountains, rain, and lanterns, because your life is still moving. And maybe balance is not about holding everything together perfectly. Maybe balance is simply learning how to carry yourself gently through change. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for surviving days nobody fully understood. And thank you for continuing your journey even when healing felt slow. Take care of your heart because it has carried you this far.